Howdy folks, Greyhawk 4x4 coming at you again, your resident vintage gamer. Today's video is going to be in the category of my classic gaming collection, and we haven't done one of these in a while, so grab yourselves a drink, strap yourself in, let's go. Okay, so this episode we're going to talk about this latest acquisition. I got the very first 3 volumes of the Arduin role-playing game system. Now, this was a system that was created by a guy named Dave Hargrave back in the mid to late 70s. 1977 is, if you look on Wikipedia, that's what they have as the original publication date. I found the very first 3 volumes on eBay, and for all 3 of them, the guy was the buyout with the buy it now price was like $70. And each one of these I have seen generally for about $40. And these aren't in great condition. I would put them in average to good condition, but all 3 of them for $70 I thought was a pretty good deal, and the shipping wasn't very much. So I've been wanting to add these to my collection for a while. These pamphlets started out, so the Arduin campaign started out, it was this guy Dave Hargrave's home campaign or whatever, and he played it with a bunch of friends and all that, and then they were the ones that kind of convinced him to say, hey, you need to publish this, whatever. And so he published these. And in the original, very first printing, he even references Dungeons and Dragons, saying that these are like supplements for the original Dungeons and Dragons game, which were these pamphlets, the original 3 pamphlets, and there you go. So you had those, and if you notice, an eerie similarity, I mean, they're the same size. Same cardstock, on the covers and everything. So, so they were obviously, kind of going along that same line. But TSR, the company that produced Dungeons and Dragons, of course, they issued a cease and desist letter to Mr. Hargrave and did not want them mentioned in this product or whatever. And I'm really not sure that actually did them a service, because he wasn't. I don't think he was trying to compete with them. I think he was just trying to make these supplements to add to the game or whatnot. But I'm assuming that they were wanting to protect their name and whatnot, so they just didn't want it in there. So the second printing actually has all of the D&D references whited out on all the copies. That's how you know it's a second printing. This is more than likely a third printing of this, the very first book, the Wooden Grimoire. And the reason that I know this is if you look up on a couple different places that kind of do the history of all the role-playing game stuff, this is the back cover to that. And if you notice, this character, her boobies are showing. So the fourth printing and after that, they had to cover those up for some reason. They chose to start covering those up. Don't know, maybe there were certain stores that wouldn't cover. I mean, because somebody has a pencil drawing of breasts, I guess that offended somebody or something. But there's the same thing in the Monster Manual, Deities and Demigods for Dungeons and Dragons. There's topless characters in there too. So I don't know what the big hang-up was, but nevertheless, that generally means you have a third printing. So I think I'm pretty sure that's what I've got. And I'm not sure on these 2. The Volume 2 is called Welcome to Skull Tower, and this is the Runes of Doom, Volume 3 of the Wooden Grimoire, and these are known as the Arduin Trilogy. The first 3. There are many more supplements that came out afterwards for this system, and it's technically still in print because another game company bought it, and you can even buy it. It's called the Complete Arduin, I believe. And you can find that on Amazon or whatever. And it has all of this stuff all in one big hardbound book, which is what I'll probably end up buying one of those if I wanted to integrate some of this stuff into my Greyhawk campaign, which I probably do. But I certainly don't want to be manhandling these too much, because they are, pretty much relics. And if you notice, the print is ridiculously small. And I'm getting to be an old man, and yeah, my arms aren't long enough to see that. So, anyway, these are more for my collection. I'm trying to create kind of a museum here for gaming, is what I call my Greyhawk's Tavern here. I'm trying to create like a museum for gaming. And so these old game systems, I want to have copies of them available. But they're going to go into bags and be sealed and everything after this. Simply for display, and like if somebody's over and I want to talk about it, I can bring them out, that type of thing. But these are not play copies. And for whatever it's worth, neither are these. I have the reprint of this that Wizards of the Coast did not too long ago, and if I want to integrate any of the original D&D stuff, I'll do it out of that, not my relics here. So now, having said all this about Arduin, disclaimer here: I am not an expert on Arduin. I had forgotten all about it until my buddy Brad back here, when we were at our Pathfinder game months ago, brought it up, and I go, "Oh yeah, that's right, Arduin. That was a thing back in the way back, And so that's when I started doing some research, and then I found these on eBay, and I bought them. So I've done a little bit of research on Wikipedia and a couple other places, a couple other sources, but I am not an expert, because whenever I do one of these videos, I always get the guy in the comments below who says, "Well, that's not technically right on da 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 da," and I'm like, "You're right, absolutely. I acquiesce. I'm not the expert, so if I make a mistake in something that I'm saying, please feel free to correct me down there. But just, beforehand, just taking mine, I'm coming out and saying I'm not an expert on the Arduin campaign setting. So, but I still wanted to have it in my collection. So that's it for this episode. I can put a link down there, but you can just Google it just as easy. If you just want to Google Arduin, there's a Wikipedia page, and then there's other resources from there that you can go if you want to dig deeper into the campaign setting. I will say that one of the things I really do like about it, where I have gone through and kind of flipped through and looked at stuff, he introduces a lot of classes that I haven't seen even to this day in other game systems and so forth. Classes, spells, monsters, magic items, all that kind of stuff are in these first 3 books here. So I will definitely be getting that complete Arduin so that I can use that liberally and integrate some of that stuff into my campaign while keeping these in bags and keeping them put away for the museum. So anyway, that's it, guys. If you have any questions or comments or whatever, put them down below. If I screwed something up, if I said something that wasn't right, please feel free to correct me down there. That's it. We'll catch you guys on the flip side.